What is up, party people? Talking all things DFW residential real estate. And for years and years and years, much to the chagrin of some of the neighbors, Richardson, Texas has been an absolute hotspot in the North Dallas area. Still in Dallas County, but kind of the first city outside of Dallas there.
Most of it.
Not all of it. You're right. So we're going to get into it today on what's there to love, why do you care, and why is Richardson so unique in the grand scheme of the Metroplex. I'll just throw out a couple of quick fun facts. One being that Richardson has what appears to be an unfair share of dart rail stops, dart rail developments. Some of that has to do with Judge Ray Noah and some of the early founding of Richardson, but Richardson has a lot to offer. It's been here for a long time. It's been very well run for the vast majority of its history. And because of that, it's a great place to live. It's also a major employment sector. And so we're going to dig into what makes Richardson so unique, whether it's an area you're thinking about moving to or moving from or moving a business to, or just checking out and enjoying a little bit more. So generally speaking, I'm not going to say who lives where, but most of us on our team spend a good bit of our time, whether we live here or work here, we spend a lot of time here.
You can say the office is here.
I could, in fact, say that it is on West Arapahoe
so it makes
Road.
us very familiar.
That's right. I could say more, but I try to protect y'all's privacy. So quickly, if I was just to ask you, Courtney, like what's going on in Richardson right now? What's happening around here? We're in the studio in Richardson right now. What's happening in Richardson right now? What's the scoop? What's going
lots
down?
of things are being built up. They're doing this core district in downtown Richardson, so just trying to make it more walkable. And I think it's almost like you drive down 75 and you just hit, like Plano's got their downtown and McKinney's got their downtown. And so I think Richardson wants to compete with that. Yep. And at this moment, it cannot, but it is on its up and up. I meant to say can't, and I was,
No, you're good.
I got stuck.
Cannot. You're good.
It
Keep going.
cannot compete. And then also it's building up the city hall and the library, which is so exciting.
Just had a small fire over there and get to renovate. Okay, so slow down. The core district, which I don't think anyone's ever going to call it that. So downtown, they're trying. Downtown Richardson, which in the past people would have been like, wait, Richardson does not have a downtown. But it was the old Main Street just east of 75 off Beltline. There's been tons of redevelopment there. Okay, so new apartment complexes, some new restaurants, lots of new parking, reorientation of streets, where the goal is for that to be one of these kind of live, work, play urban centers. And it's cool looking, but it's not really taking off yet. But as far as is Richardson cool, man, they're making every effort for that to be another really great mixed-use development. There are others. So I think they're going to get there. But as is often the case with Richardson, due to factors we'll mention in a minute, these things don't just boom, right? They don't explode. And so we'll talk a little bit more in a minute if I don't, one of you ask me and remind me to say why I think that is. But Ian, if I was going to go to you and just say like, hey, what's happening in Richardson? What's going on around here? What do you got?
I mean, when you look at kind of what is still around and has been for a long time, you've got big tech employment centers, that telecom corridor, as people know it, that's still there. So this month it was just announced that Celestica, big data center, AI infrastructure equipment and things like that, they just announced a big expansion on the parkway right there. So I mean, there's new business coming in still. There's buildings going up. There's a lot of stuff happening. Yeah,
so Richardson for years and years and years has been known as the telecom corridor. Collins Radio kind of kicked that off. AT&T's had a big presence. Verizon's had a presence. And so Richardson as a whole has held on to a lot of that technology employment base. University of Texas at Dallas is here, and they're doing a lot with undergrad and graduate students to provide very highly skilled talent, people, for those companies. So we've had video game companies, we've had satellite companies, we've had some very, very cool stuff going on.
It's interesting because when I think of Richardson, I think of old. But it's not like they're trying really hard to move people's minds away from that, which is good.
and to celebrate it when it is good, right? So there's some real positives to Richardson being a mature city.
Right.
Richardson would
We used
argue,
to live here. We used to live in Richardson.
Richardson would argue that we're not a suburb because of the founding of the city as a rail stop at or around the time that Dallas was founded. So it didn't grow out of Dallas. It grew up with Dallas and obviously is much, much smaller. But there's a lot going on. So, you've got the mixed use development, restaurants, apartments, living, working, playing, dark rail, all that going on. And then, as you pointed out, you also have a lot of employment here. I haven't checked the data like this week, but until very recently, the midday work population, meaning the people that come and work in Dallas during the day that don't even live here, is very close to the total number that do the exact same thing in downtown Dallas. It is a massive amount of people. Now, that's the answer to the question I was asking you to remember to ask me. Why do some of these retail developments not do quite as well? Because you have this massive midday influx, and then they go back to their surrounding homes. And so you don't have quite as much nighttime population like you would in a Dallas or like a Legacy West type area. It's still very good, but we don't have nearly as many chain restaurants or bars or things like that where you have more of the mom and pop. We also have a very culturally diverse community. And the benefit is you get some cool coffee shops and restaurants and little bakery type places, but you don't have as much of the big chain places that sell a lot of alcohol and things like that because they're not as easy to support at night. So we have lots of sandwich shops, lots of chicken places, a lot of good lunch stuff. Not quite as much, but these big developments and the city and the Economic Development Corp are pushing for more and more of this in the evening. And we're seeing that progress, and it's been really fun.
If we want to trust AI, we can. If we want to choose not to, we don't have to.
Stand by.
Downtown Dallas, 40 to 50,000 people working. Richardson, people commuting to Richardson to work, about 60.
So even
Dang, because of our telecom.
more midday work population than Dallas. That's what my gut told me, but I hesitated because the last thing I read said it rivaled Dallas. But you have these big Blue Cross Blue Shield buildings. You have the whole State Farm campus. And you don't have nearly as much downtown Dallas work. Although we are going to do an episode on that soon.
Things like AT&T relocating and it just took some of the workforce away.
And we'll do an episode soon on some of the really exciting things that are happening in downtown Dallas, like the stock exchange and some of the big new corporate relocations and development. That'll be cool too. But okay, Ian, you've lived here. You already said that. When you think about Richardson and just how it lays out, if I wasn't from here, what generally do I need to know? What's where?
I think of three distinct areas in Richardson that you hear people talk about. You have East Richardson, east of 75. You have the West Richardson side. And then you have the Breckenridge area, which a lot of people don't think of that Breckenridge area.
So East and West makes sense to a lot of
course.
people. The major highway, Central Expressway.
And I'm not saying that as a smart ass. I'm saying like people are like, oh, I live on the east side of Richardson, or I live on the west side of Richardson. Like just how people say it.
And it's logical because Central Expressway, the main 75 North, the main highway, just cuts it pretty much in half. Now Breckenridge, though, as you said, a lot of people aren't as familiar with. Where is that compared to the city? And why might not everybody know about it?
Northeast of the city of Richardson.
If Richardson had a panhandle, it'd be up and to the right.
Yep. Think closer to Bush, George Bush.
Yep. 190.
190. Yep. Closer to there. Newer homes, generally speaking. Slightly bigger lots, generally speaking.
Yep.
More of the traditional 2-story home, whereas a lot of Richardson is 1-story ranch style houses. Not all of it, but a big majority.
No.
But people just don't think about it because it's just kind of it's not off the.
Well, you're
beaten
not
path,
forced to drive through it on the main highway, right? So George Bush is a little bit less traveled, maybe not too much, but it bends out to the north and the east. It's out near edges of Wiley, Plano, Garland, Dallas, even Murphy. So it's this little pocket that people love. We only emphasize it because it's lesser known.
Yeah.
The east side has historically been a little bit more industrial, a little bit more employment based. The west side has been the dreamy neighborhoods that you hear people talking about. Like it feels like the Andy Griffith Show sometimes, like the parks, the neighborhoods, the youth sports and all that stuff.
A lot of the east side is going to be kind of 1980s build. A lot of the west side is going to be 1960s build.
Yeah, and a lot of that development cropped up out of Texas Instruments and building infrastructure and an employment base here as well. This show is brought to you by the Todd Tremonti Home Selling Team, where we guarantee to sell your home over the average price and under the average time. We also guarantee to help you buy a home and save at least $5,000 throughout the purchase process. Check out over 800 5-star reviews on Google. We'll get back to the show. Okay, let's think about the real estate market in Richardson. Broadly speaking, it has continued, like pretty much everywhere in North Texas, to get more and more costly to live in Richardson. But you do have some variety. Okay, so over the last, let's just say 5 years or so, kind of COVID and beyond, Richardson has weathered this kind of peculiar market better than most, right? Where there was this big run up of value and a ton of demand after COVID lockdowns kind of freed up. And so Richardson had this huge boom and saw high-end sales prices that it had never seen before. More homes over $1 million than ever before, although there wasn't and still aren't a ton of those. But you used to have East Richardson, which at times was like half the price of West Richardson for the same size house. And East Richardson has in many ways caught up, not all the way up, but they've closed the gap where it used to be 100%, you'd be half the price, and now maybe 15 or 20% more affordable on that side. You have different schools, of course. You have Berkner on the east, and on the west, you have Richardson High School and Pierce High School. And then, of course, you have some private schools and things like that all mixed in there. But you do have a variety of pricing. You're looking probably in the 400s to $1 million and beyond, depending on what you're looking at. There's some condos and townhomes that are a little bit more affordable, but then you're going to have some HOAs and condo associations that are going to kind of bring that cost of ownership back up.
Cheapest home currently on the market, $260K, but there's like 3 of them under 300.
Right.
Most of them are going to be that. Highest price point on the market, a little under 3 million.
It's starting
Wider
to feel,
range.
and I said this yesterday, like that this is a certain demographic picks it as the spot, and so they just start wiping out. I think about Highland Park and how you have these like cute little old guys
I just want
amongst
the world
these
to know
really
that
big mansions.
Courtney is not licensed in real estate, but she has also not yet violated any license rules.
Just
But
on
no,
a
I mean,
tightrope.
the Richardson for years and years and years and years and years has been one of the most culturally, ethnically, racially diverse communities in all of North Texas. It's also been average age, and Ian pointed this out earlier, one of the oldest. Some of that is because, like I said, it's not technically a suburb. It's a city that's almost as old as Dallas, but a lot of people moved here, especially in that Texas Instruments boom in the late 60s and early 70s, and just never left. They just loved it here. So you still have a lot of original homeowners that bought or built that house in 1963 or 66 or whatever, and just never left. And so you have a little bit older, a very racially diverse community. And then whether it's due to schools or job providers or culture or faith communities or whatever the case is, Richardson has remained a very, very diverse community. But those things are always shifting everywhere, and Richardson is certainly experiencing that as well.
Pop quiz, Courtney. When was Richardson founded?
I don't actually know this. I know a lot about Richardson. I don't know.
1950.
Way off.
Now, I don't know the answer, but I'm going to give you a adjacent fact that the city of Breckenridge was fully encapsulated, fully internal to the city of Richardson, and in a standalone separate city, I want to say until the mid 80s, and it is no longer. And that's a different area than what we just called Breckenridge to the northeast. It was west-southwest until, maybe as late as 85 or 86. We'll look that up later. But
Let's get back to my question.
I don't know, 31.
1873.
Yeah, I knew I was going to be way off.
Dallas,
but
1841.
there you go. But within 30 years or so of Dallas, not like, it cropped up because Dallas grew up really big. It was another stop on the train rail and just grew up pretty much alongside. And Dallas really didn't boom until much later, actually after Waco took a big hit on the storm because it was the bigger shipping route down the Brazos. Fun facts in real estate with Todd. Let's move on. Okay, so when you think about the market, we've talked about the variety of pricing. We've talked about the different age of homes, the different size of homes. Currently, right now in this market, we've got 3-ish months of housing inventory. I've always said if you're looking for like a little ticker symbol of just What's the pulse of the market? Check inventory. So 3 months tells us sellers still have a little bit of an advantage in this market, but not a massive advantage in this market. So that's good inventory. It's not a ton of inventory, but buyers have some choices and sellers still have pretty good leverage in getting a home sold. What else are you seeing as far as current market conditions in Richardson right now, Ian? If you're talking to a potential buyer or maybe even a potential seller, like what's the data say the market looks like in Richardson?
Yeah, things are moving a little bit quicker than they have been moving, at least this spring. So we had been on average days on market a month to 6 weeks, 30 to 45 days.
Yep.
In May, it was about 13 days in May.
So clearly about half to a third of the time that's probably been the average for the last 2.5 years.
Yep.
The peak of our market this year, May was the peak thus far. That was down to 2 weeks. So
now in terms of like what size homes can you find in Richardson, the vast majority of homes are like a quarter of an acre, 0.2 to 0.3
So
acres.
lot size, a quarter of an acre to maybe a third of an acre. And then home size, anything from like 1,200 square feet on up to 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 monsters. But on average, most of the homes you're going to see are give or take a few hundred feet from 2,000.
Mm-hmm.
You know, 17, 1,800, 21, 22, 2,300 square feet. Now, lots of garages have been converted since the 60s. Not a ton, but a decent number of homes have added that second floor or gone up over the garage or popped the top and gone all the way up. So there's some really cool, unique, charming homes in the area because of the years of evolution and remodel and add-ons and things like that. But homes are selling right now pretty darn quick and at pretty strong pricing, really compared to almost the entire rest of the Metroplex. Richardson is a hot, good, attractive real estate market to be a seller and a fair market to be a buyer. You're not going to steal a house in Richardson very likely right now, but you can get a good, fair price and you have enough to choose from that you don't have to do something dangerous or impulsive. Now, as a company, Todd Tremonti Home Selling Team, we do specialize in helping people buy and sell homes on land. And when we say land, we normally mean more than that quarter or third acre normal lot. We mean the biggest lot in the neighborhood or 2, 3, 4, 5 acres, you know, out on the edge. So just want to go back to you on the data here, Ian. How likely is it? How many of those type properties are we seeing in the Richardson area, either just available for sale or selling recently? Knowing that it's not a dominant thing in the market. For example, Courtney, you've already kind of said this is home base for you. How often do you think in Richardson people are talking about bigger lot properties?
Not a whole lot because I think they like really value the community, but there are some highly desirable lots in this city.
Yeah,
like
I
the
think
biggest
that's well
lot,
said.
the biggest lot that's available right now is like 0.8. There isn't any lot available more than an acre.
Yeah, which is probably 3 times the size of the typical quarter to third acre lot, right? So you said it really well. Richardson's not a community known for large lot properties, but the ones that are here are like these cool generational properties that people never want to let go of. They either border the creek or one of these small private ponds, or they're kind of at the edge of a development that came in the 70s or 80s and wasn't an original. So it's a carve out and it's just kind of always be this unique property in between some other things with more space. But with all the beautiful mature trees we have and the little spots of water we have,
really special.
They are
And the houses
magical.
all look different.
Yep.
Yeah, they're not track homes.
Those are my favorite. Now, I love a development in Aledo or out on the edge that's like, these are all 2 acre properties or these are all 1 acre lots. Those are great. I love them, love them, love them. But man, the one where you're like, oh, you guys nailed it, is that 0.8 of an acre, 1.2 backing up to the creek in the corner of the neighborhood where you got the neighborhood life in the front and then you have this just impossible to recreate in the back situation. So Richardson's got some of those, and it's not just a handful or 2, but let's say in a city, of thousands and thousands of homes, you have probably less than 100 of those really unique generational properties. It's a wonderful place to live. It's a wonderful place to work. And our office and our studio are right here in Richardson. If we can help you buy or sell or invest in residential real estate in the Richardson area or surrounding, you can go to toddtremontiteam.com right now. You can search all homes for sale by all agents in the area. You can find out the value of a property. You can also connect with one of our full-time, fully committed, world-class real estate specialists. Our agents are the best. I recruit them. I hire them. Ian helps us train them and lead them and guide them and mentor them. And Courtney's helping us get the word out to our clients, our friends, our family, and the market, and our friends on podcast and YouTube channels just like you. So reach out to us at toddtremonti.com or just Google my name, Todd Tremonti. Spell it the best you can. You'll see over 800 5-star reviews, the most in DFW, and we'll help you with whatever we can. If this episode was valuable to you, leave us a review, share it with a friend, and make sure you subscribe for future episodes. We will talk to you on the next one.